All right, what's up, guys? Hopefully, all this is working. You guys can hear me fine. I'm out at my in-laws' house in the what Delaware, Ocean City ish area. So for the weekend, so the next 2 days, I'll be doing this. I'll get back home and have the one on Monday ready for Tuesday. But let's just go through this because it's been an interesting week for me. As I've talked about a couple of these things, we've had some bad luck with bullpens. Last night, I got super lucky as the Royals bullpen gave up 7 runs after the 8th inning to cover my weather play of the day. And yeah, I knew there was going to be a rain delay. Love the bats, and I talked about this in yesterday's pod, or was about Bobby Witt and how great the spot was for him. He hit a homer, had a couple of nice prop plays go off. So today, I think there's some interesting games to take a look at, and I picked 4 of them that have decent matchups and things that I want to talk about. So we'll get into that in just a sec. Make sure you click the like, subscribe button, all those things. It does help us out. The notification button, if you click that, it'll let you know every time I post. You guys can hit me up on social media at JConnSports on Twitter. You can find me anywhere else. I know somebody found me on Instagram. Maybe it was from one of the posts from the Pickdawgz Instagram site, or Instagram page. And we went back and forth and chatted a little bit. So very accessible if you guys have questions about what I do. On the day of this gets posted, at some point in time, I will post where my weather algorithm leans. Now, those leans do not mean those are actual bets. They are an edge, so I have no problem if you want to take every one of them. That being said, I try to look for the right spots. I match up the money. I look for pitching matchups. I look to try to find an edge in a couple different places. And if everything matches up, they end up becoming top plays for me. Now, on Friday, I went 4-1 in Major League Baseball, and I went 0-2 in the WNBA. Nothing went right for me there after being on that heater. But, we bounced back. It's another day. Just happy to see baseball kind of getting back. And on Saturday, God, I love that entire slate. The Twins over looked great. The Cardinals over looked great. I love the under in the Texas-Houston game. Cleveland over looked great. I mean, I posted some of those in the messages. You can go back and look at the weather spots that matched up. I really thought all of those were the best weather spots to take a peek at. And, I know some people would kind of go across the board. And, if you have an edge and it's telling you historically that this stuff happens, I'm not the type to go bet the entire board that it says it. So, whatever it was, the 8 plays I listed, they were all good spots. What I try to do is narrow it down and find the 3 to 5 best spots to bet. And, the same thing was applying today where, or I should say Saturday when I was looking at the slate. I love the Mets-Royals over again with a bad pitching matchup, or guys that we could attack, like I talk about all the time. Not just that, but it's also when you look at those conditions and we start talking about the bullpens. Everything I handicapped in that Kansas City New York Mets game didn't go the way that I thought. I thought the Royals would be scoring most of the runs, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and we've been a little unlucky this week, so I'll take it. All right, let's just dive into these games so I can get this out to you guys. This will be a shorter one and an actual shorter one because I want to make sure that the sounds work. And I've literally spent like an hour trying to match everything up and make sure my sound was working without it wasn't coming through my speakers for some reason. I literally had to go in to this laptop and change my sound settings just so I could hear. Whatever. This laptop's been ridiculous. It's nice, but it's been ridiculous. Let's get into these games. We start off with the Orioles and the Marlins. So the Marlins in Baltimore. Winds out to left at about 6 miles an hour. Small help there. It's 90 degrees and humid. Huge help there. Talk about it at Camden Yards. When it gets hot and humid, the ball carries. We have Yuri Perez, who is a fly ball pitcher, versus Brandon Young. Still trying to figure out what this kid is. He has a lot of strikeout potential. In fact, in the last game, he had the immaculate inning where 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts. So it's pretty impressive to see. But he's always had – it's the right word to use with him. If he pitched 5 innings, 4 of them would be fine, and 1 of them would be like, what the hell happened there? Why'd you give up 4 runs? And it seems like that's been happening to him consistently. He's a guy that, unless he's on a roll, I don't know if they'll let him a third time through the lineup. We'll see, depending on how many innings they need him to eat. I need to see what happens on Saturday with the bullpens. But I'm going to tell you to take the Orioles here. I really felt like the Orioles should have swept the Mets. They had a 4-run blown lead in the 8th inning by Brian Baker, who they ended up trading to the Rays. And as soon as he got there, he gave up 3 runs for them. And he's been really good this year. With all that being said, he still has an ERA right around 4, sub 4. But looking at this game, yeah, I would lean towards the over as another play here, but I like the Orioles. I feel like this is a team that's starting to catch their stride. They won 3 in a row going into Saturday when I'm recording this. And they got Trevor Rogers going, who's been their best pitcher on Saturday. So, we'll see. We'll see if this is where they take a 5-game winning streak into the All-Star break, or maybe Trevor Rogers has a hiccup on Saturday. We'll see. But I really do like the Orioles in this spot. We're going to move on to the Minnesota Twins and the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is the one game that has winds above 10 miles an hour. It's 11 miles an hour blowing out towards left, 85 degrees. Mitch Keller, Simeon Woods Richardson. Simeon Woods Richardson hits a lot of bats. He's been a gas can. Mitch Keller's numbers look great, unless you're one of those guys that looks at wins and losses. And, that stuff doesn't matter to me. He's 3-10. The only reason I bring that up is they just haven't scored runs for him this year. But this is a great spot for scoring. And when I first looked at it, I thought I was going to be all over the under here with Mitch Keller on the mound against this Twins team. But it looks like a great overplay. From the weather standpoint, looking at the matchup of the power that the Twins have, where that's coming from, and even Pittsburgh, we're getting good hitting conditions. And there's a bunch of guys that can run into one. And these are 2 guys that will hit bats. So I like the over here. On to Game 3, which is the nightcap. That's Philly and San Diego. As we look at this, winds left to right, kind of in towards first a little bit, mid-70s. We get Christopher Sanchez versus Nick Pivetta. Pivetta, a former Phil, if I remember correctly. I'm not looking for any revenge narrative here. Both of these guys have been pitching great. With the weather supporting it, the wind's not a help to bats. I'm going to look at an underplay here. This predominantly right-handed lineup, I know you can look at Jackson Merrill and Cronenworth and some of the other guys that you want to point out with the Padres, but for me, a lot of that power comes from Machado, Tatis. There's a handful of guys on there that can run into one. And if they keep trotting out Martin Maldonado, I look at my algorithm every day, and you're used to seeing Ohtani and Judge at the top. I swear to you, every single time I click it, Martin Maldonado is the worst hitter in all of baseball. He's dead last on my algorithm, no matter who he's facing. I think I could be pitching to him, and he's dead last. And if he's in the lineup, good night. He's not running into anything. So I like the under here. I think it's a very good play. It's the nightcap. We'll have to see where people decide to bet this game and what the total is. I assume it's going to be around a 7.5, maybe 8. That's just my guess, unless something changes. But if the pitching matchup stands up, I think the under is a good play. Let's get to the final play here. That would be the Mets and the Royals. This is a team I've been talking about all week. I've been on the Mets and Royals over the entire weekend. I'm not saying you have to get away from it here, but I would. I like the pitching matchup. As the Mets and Royals face off, it's Clay Holmes versus Noah Cameron. Winds right to left at about 5 miles an hour. Not really going to help out much there, but it is 87 and humid, which does help the bats. But I don't care about that. If you guys have been watching Noah Cameron, this kid's got a 5-2 K to walk ratio, which is solid. You'd like to see the walks come down a little bit more, but you can't even complain because if we're talking about walks, the guy's whip is under 1. It's .96. He doesn't put guys on. And what have we talked about with the Mets? They suck on the road. For whatever reason, they stink on the road. They went in and stole the game from the Orioles on Tuesday night. Right? Tuesday? Yeah, I think so. And then came back and stole the game from the Royals. I shouldn't say stole. It was close, but they scored 7 runs late to help put that over the total, as we talked about earlier. But in this matchup, I'm betting on Noah Cameron. Give me the Kansas City Royals at home. I know they've been light hitting. They've hit a little bit better this week. Things are starting to turn for him. I really like this kid, Noah Cameron, and I was a little mad that in my fantasy leagues I was late to getting to him. Didn't see this coming this fast, but he looks really, really good. So the Royals would be my free play for today. All right, guys, definitely check out all the premium plays over there. I usually put out a 3-pack. There's a bunch of singles, my weather play of the day. I have a 5-star play of the day usually. I've been putting out my bombs away play. That's the game where I think the most home runs will be hit, but of course I'm going to love the over in that spot. So yeah, check them out. See what you think. You can go ahead and look at the history of it too, how they've done. It's been pretty good so far. We'll keep picking that up and rolling with it. And as other things come up, I'll try to keep you abreast to it as things are happening with me. Obviously, my surgery in a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm looking forward to baseball. The All-Star break this week makes it a little weaker, but I will have podcasts to talk about different things. So we'll get in all that. You'll see me tomorrow. Thanks, guys.